And hello, I'm Nick Kind. I'm going to be taking over from 12 till 2. Interestingly, our clock hasn't been set back. It's meant to be one of those electric clocks, isn't it, that does it automatically, but it still says it's an hour in front. But it doesn't matter. You're listening to Radio Glengwilly here at the hospital and on 87.7 FM. And if you're watching on demand, hello. I have put together a sort of horror Halloween themed show. I've got all sorts of things. I've got some music, obviously lyrical music, and then I've got some soundtracks from movies as well that are eerie and creepy and yeah, all that kind of thing. I've got a few song sort of dedications more than requests in today as well, so I'm going to throw them in. I'm also, if you're watching the show, I'm also sitting further back from the microphone because when I listened to the MP3 version of the show back within the last week, I found I sounded a lot like the Joker from The Dark Knight. You could hear me really going, and you could hear me breathing, and I thought, no, that's either because I'm too close to the microphone or the levels are too high. So yes, a little bit of distance this time. Hope you can all hear me well. Naturally, the camera will, have its own audio system. So yeah. Right, let's start somewhere sweet, shall we? Let's go with Robbie Williams, Candy. Alright, before we continue, you can contact us, of course, on social media, naturally. You can find my YouTube channel, or I upload on Facebook as well, the footage of the show. But naturally here in the studio, you can text us at 075 18 18 38 38, or our email address is, all lowercase, studio@radioglengwilly.co.uk. Now, who has heard of Candyman? I'm talking the horror, I think it was a TV series. I was going to play the theme for that next, basically, following Robbie's last track. But I didn't find the theme that enjoyable. It was kind of hit and miss, and I thought, no, I think I can find something sweeter, something a little bit better. So, instead, I went with this. Alright, the kettle's going on, so let's be quick about this one. Naturally, it's Halloween, we're celebrating, we're going to have some fun ones. Let's go with the cartoons, Witch Doctor.
Witch Doctor, give us the magic words!
Something a little different, and going to be the last time I play something like that in a while. But as it's Halloween and a song called The Witch Doctor, naturally, I couldn't resist. Now, who remembers Will Smith in Men in Black? Now, yes, there is quite a few of them now, and there is the more recent one with Chris Hemsworth, if I'm correct, and the girl from, obviously, Thor, the Thor movies, and of course she did appear in Avengers. I can't think of the actress's name, unfortunately, off the top of my head, but that's beside the point. The next track is, of course, Will Smith's Men in Black track for the movie, or from the movie. There is one film when I was young that I was terrified. Me and my brother used to always hide behind the sofa when the Velociraptors would show up in the Jurassic Park movie. They'd be there first thing. One of the first opening scenes is the park owners capturing a Velociraptor, and then later on they would return as well once all the characters have came together actually at the park. Naturally, the top song would be to play the Jurassic Park theme. It's quite long and you have heard it before, so I've actually plucked the Raptor Attack track from the Jurassic Park movie. You will recognise it if you're a Jurassic Park fan. Naturally, just think of the scenes and you'll get there. Right. Where I was afraid of Velociraptors, well, early on now. Bear in mind, Jurassic Park came out in 1993, so it had been the year I was born. I probably didn't see it until I was probably at least 7 years old before I saw that movie, at least. But yeah, I remember being terrified of the Velociraptors, like some people were terrified of the Daleks back when Doctor Who started. Yes, the Velociraptors did it for me. Some people are actually afraid of clowns. Now, I don't really mind clowns. It's like some people have a phobia of spiders as well. But talking clowns, I've got Emeli Sande lined up for you. And there we go, Emeli Sande Clown. I have to I have to admit, I announced that song really poorly. It sounded like I was calling Emeli Sande a clown, where I'm not. I think she's beautiful. She's got a beautiful voice. But it's the track title, Clown. And that's what I meant to say in obviously a different way than I actually put it. Now, let's move on to the next movie track. I've gone with Jeepers Creepers from the first Jeepers Creepers movie. There's a track, and it's like a warning to say there's trouble coming. They get told that this song will play around the time of that character's death, that kind of thing. I won't go too far into the story because if some of you haven't actually watched it, I won't spoil the ending. But yes, this track plays, I think, twice throughout the movie in 2 different locations. Jeepers Creepers. Now let's follow that immediately with the main theme from Halloween. Now this track also can be found in the Dead by Daylight video game, because obviously Michael Myers was added to that a long time ago now, and I think they're on their 7th anniversary. Now, as I said earlier, you can't have a Halloween themed show without the likes of Michael Jackson's Thriller. My friend Gosha again requested this, and of course I did say naturally it would be in the show regardless of being requested. But yes, it without a doubt has to be played at some point. And because we're missing the clock, what time are we at? We're at 22 roughly. So yes, let's get this going, shall we? Thriller, released back in the 1980s. 1982, should we take a guess at that? I mentioned it the other week, didn't I? The storytelling week. Alright, let's bring that to an end, shall we? I had to do a little laugh, didn't I? I did it better at home when I was practicing, but in the moment when you're live, it just doesn't go the same, does it? No. See, it sounds too weird. Anyway, let's move on from my madness, shall we? Another song request, actually requested this time. Time Warp. I never put it really out there as a Halloween song, but my friend Si insisted I played it, so it's followed Thriller, it's followed all my madness, it's now a little bit of her craziness. Time Warp, people. Let's get that on for you now. This time I won't make any funny noises. Time Warp by Little Now. I have to admit, me and my friend Si both like Doctor Who, and that's where this is going with Time Warp. It's just triggered it in my mind. Spoilers if you're not up to date with Doctor Who. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 seconds to tune out. And 1, 2, 3. Okay. Doctor Who, David Tennant returned, didn't he? The 13th, 14th Doctor, wherever we were with the Lady Doctor, now jumped back to David Tennant. I assume preparing for the Christmas special. I personally thought David Tennant was the peak of the iceberg. It was the best when he was the Doctor. Don't get me wrong, Matt Smith, who later then went on to do The Crown as well, I thought Matt Smith was great. Do enjoy him as like a actor. I did enjoy him as the Doctor. Loved his role in The Crown though. I personally thought, hearing that David Tennant returned, I just thought they're fishing to get views back up. They're fishing to try and get the show great again. It's one of those ones I feel like it needs to end and then be rebooted completely, fresh start. They keep dragging it out. The Doctor can't die. The Doctor keeps coming back, changes back to somebody else that was a lot more successful as the Doctor. I just think they need a clean slate, start over. That's my thoughts. Anyway, let's move on, because I said Thriller, Time Warp, Monster Mash, people. The Monster Mash. Now, next we are going to go, I was going to wait until the halfway point, but we're not far off, to be fair. We're going to have a few tracks, and they're more soundtracks they are, to video games. And I'm going to say successful because they're successful in their own genres. One, we're going to start with Resident Evil 4. There's a remake coming, I believe, early next year that I intend to pick up. I never, well, I say never, I did start Resident Evil 4, but it felt so dated, so if you're into video games, so tanky. You move around and it doesn't feel loose. It doesn't feel like you're actually free to run, jump, climb. It all feels slow and like you are a tank. Like you just can't move as quickly. So to hear and to see the footage already, the gameplay footage, that what they're doing with Resident Evil 4, I'm looking forward to it. As long as they don't cut out as much as they did with the Resident Evil 3 game, as long as they give us our money's worth, I'll be very happy. I say this because Resident Evil 4, I plucked the theme song from the end credits. It's titled Sorrow. I've gone with Resident Evil purely because of the horror, the aspect of zombies. Resident Evil, the movies, there's been a TV series, there's been anime. It felt like it fit in today's show. And I did have a good listen through all the games. Biohazard, you got Resident Evil 2 and 3. But I settled with the ending of 4. If you're up in the St. Catherine's shopping centre, I believe, or up that way, keep an eye out for the Ghostbusters car. I meant to mention it earlier in the show, and if I'm honest, I completely forgot. The reason I remembered is I just checked social media, and my friends who have the Chapter 2 home store in the Merlin's Walk have uploaded some photos of them enjoying Halloween, all dressed up. So yes, a little mention to them, a little mention to the car going round, to the Ghostbusters car, and then anybody else that's actually supporting the town, bringing it to life with this Halloween theme. Halloween is quite an American thing, but any reason to dress up and have fun, why stop? Why just let the Americans have it? Why not indulge here in the streets or in the shops? Yeah, if I had a shop and, you know, I was working today, I would definitely dress up and, you know, look the part. But anyway, talking about dressing up and looking the part, that's fitted in perfectly with this next track. This was before COVID. We're going back 4 or 5 years, possibly, before I put on weight. I dressed up as Spider-Man from the Homecoming movie, Tom Holland's appearance, for a carnival in our local village. Outfit fit perfectly. Like I say, I put on weight since, so the outfit's not as fitting. But yeah, that was the last time I actually dressed up for an occasion that wasn't Halloween, and actually I don't think I've dressed up for Halloween either. So yes, that was the last time I actually really sort of made an effort. But then again, Spider-Man's a suit, isn't it? It's not like making an effort with makeup and sort of custom costume as such. So credit to you all, everyone that's making an effort and everyone that's gone the extra mile with face paint, accessories and custom outfits. Credit to you. As I said about Spider-Man, the 2018 Marvel Spider-Man that released on PlayStation and now has gone to PC, I have taken a song from that, or I say a song, it's a soundtrack theme. It's called Chasing Down the Devil. I believe it plays closer to the end of the game. I don't want to go into too much details because if there are those that haven't played it, again, it's a great game to enjoy. Another one to just give a quick mention to is the Guardians of the Galaxy game. That is also worth playing, and same sort of attitude as Spider-Man. It's enjoyable, good soundtrack, lovable characters, and yeah, if you've not played that, I would personally recommend it. Alright, the Spider-Man 2018 video game that was taken from. The soundtrack is available digitally as well. I might as well mention, you don't have to have the game, you don't have to buy a CD, you can get it digitally through the likes of Spotify and Apple iTunes, etc. And I imagine, I've not found it on YouTube yet, but then again I've not looked for the soundtrack. But most likely if you go into the music category on YouTube, you can find the entire soundtrack to that video game. Or most video games to this day and age. Right, let's move on, shall we? Another video game which has a great soundtrack to it. It's dark, it's gloomy, but it was really well put together when you're actually playing. And some people probably know where I'm going with this because I'm a Last of Us fan. So I'm going to try not to butcher the name. I might just say his first name. Gustavo did the awesome soundtrack to the Last of Us game, and I have gone with the main theme track from that album, or from the soundtrack album at least. I could have picked many different ones, but I thought let's just go with the most iconic. As I said, it's not a jump out your seat disco kind of music. This is a very dark and gloomy kind of sad, not sad song, but it's edging towards that direction. It's based on a video game that's in the near future. Well, actually it's now past it. Yeah, it was released in 2013 and it was set in that modern age, so of course you get the newspaper and it's still, if you find an old newspaper, it is still dated 2013 or something around that marker. I was going to say something more. Yeah, sorry. And a post-apocalyptic 2013 setting is the Last of Us game. The sequel then jumps ahead 8-9 years, but this is taken originally from that the first entry. I mentioned Dead by Daylight a little while ago with Michael Myers. They keep adding content and thank goodness for that. Hopefully what I want from Dead by Daylight is some more maps. That would bring me back. I think they've added a new map recently, but if they're going to continue adding all these characters, it'd be nice to get some more maps. I know that's more hard work and it costs more money, but if you want the audience to keep coming back, it'd be nice to have a good selection of maps so you don't get too used to just 5. I remember at some point they were doing a lot of maintenance to a few maps and they were disabled for a short time. So it would be nice to get some more, please, if there's anybody listening that can do some magic. Yes, so talking about Dead by Daylight, I have lined up I think it's just the intro theme. It is just the basic theme song or theme track from the Dead by Daylight game. Available, again, PlayStation, Xbox, PC. You can get Dead by Daylight, I think, everywhere. Maybe even on the Nintendo Switch. So yes, just keep an eye out for it. It's basically Dead by Daylight, for those that don't know. It's a horror-themed game. They've got a lot of licensed IPs, like I say, Michael Myers. You're 4 survivors. You've got to escape a killer. You've got to turn generators on in order to get a main gate open. Normally there's 2 gates. I don't think there's any maps anymore where they just have 1 gate. And there used to be an escape hatch, so if you had a key, you could escape that way as well. I haven't played it in quite a while, so I'm not sure on new content, but it's something to consider if you want something to just jump in and have a bit of fun with. I wasn't going to dedicate that to anyone, I just put it in the show initially, but you know what, I am going to dedicate it to my friend Danny. Wherever he is today, he's most likely, when I can get my words out, he's most likely off walking somewhere, hiking up in Scotland, somewhere like that. The reason I'm going to dedicate it to him is he is great at Dead by Daylight. I often have watched either his YouTube videos or just been share playing on the PlayStation and just watching him. We always use the term Scooby-Doo, but basically watching him loop the killers, and yeah, he's very good at the game. Or was the last time I was actually playing video games. Crikey, I've been trying to get through the Plague Tales Requiem, and I think I've sunk 2 hours into that game since it's came out, and that's just simply because I never have time. When I get home, whenever I have downtime, I just want to put a film on or TV. I'm just too tired to actually concentrate on a video game. So yeah, it's one of the things I miss from being so busy at the moment. As well as doing YouTube, actually. Speaking of YouTube, I can find time to watch some people's stuff, but actually editing, putting together videos, editing them, and getting them out there, my YouTube channel has definitely taken a hit recently. The only things I've been uploading actually has been the radio show, and that's quite easily to do because I record it anyway for Facebook. Once I've done the Facebook side of things, I then just upload it all together onto YouTube. So yes, Danny, the Dead by Daylight theme might as well be dedicated to you, mate. So yes, thank you if you're watching. Thank you for everyone listening. We have, I think, about 45 minutes of the show left. We do indeed. So let's crack on, shall we? I'm going to dedicate this next song to my friend Richard, because me and him used to love the Shaun of the Dead movie. And, if you know where this is going, this, like Queen, is one of those songs that did play in Shaun of the Dead and had a great moment to it. Nick Frost, Simon Pegg have just came out of the pub after a few pints, and basically there's a couple that appear to be kissing, but then if you look closely, one of their heads falls off basically because the other one's not kissing them, they're chewing into their neck. It's gruesome but really cool, and I've plucked the song from that scene. It's Ghost Town, people. That is the one indeed. And also, if you're a Cyberpunk fan, this track title, Ghost Town, was referenced in their quest line. Ghost Town was your first job with Pan Am in the Cyberpunk game. Enjoy. Talking about my early days, when I was here before COVID, one of the requested songs that I'm actually about to play now was Evil Woman by the Electric Light Orchestra. I'm actually going to dedicate it to my Uncle Carl because it was my uncle that requested it originally, at least once, back when my show was on before COVID. So yes, Carl, my friend, this is for you. Alright, Evil Woman. Let's move on, shall we? Now this one's a little bit more interesting. I saw it, and when I was doing all my research for horror and Halloween themed show, I never found it creepy, but I can kind of get where they were going for. Pirates of the Caribbean has always had like a slight dark sort of shade to it to some degree, especially the earlier ones. Maybe up until 3, and then I think they went a bit more, not child friendly, but they kind of leaned out of that dark sort of shade. It's the one I've got here is it's the Davy Jones music box that plays in Dead Man's Chest. When I heard it, when I saw it and then I listened to it, I thought, yes, it does have a kind of creepy vibe to it. And if you can picture him sitting there with all these tentacles coming out of his face, listening to the not memory, but I guess it is a memory of his partner. He's listening to his music box, thinking of his partner, and also the woman that's left him in this sort of state. It's sort of cursed him. So I'm sure by now it's not spoiling it, because obviously it's Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, that it's been out years. But to just give this show another little theme song, a little track from the film, I decided to add it in. So enjoy. Oh, it's all happening, isn't it? A friend of mine, well, my friend Sai, the one I dedicated or requested the track Time Warp, has just sent me a photo from Carmarthen. You see, she works up at where I was saying St. Catherine. Is it St. Catherine's? Yeah. The shopping centre. Of course, she's just sent me a photo, as what I mentioned, the Ghostbusters car, and all of them dressed up. They're all located outside Costa. So yeah, that's really cool to see. I'll try and share that. If you're watching on demand, if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, what I'll do is I'll edit the photograph into the show, just so that if you're watching, you get to see the phone, well, the photo. But I'll put it on later. Next, let's go and let's carry on with the show, shall we? The next theme song is from Jaws. Now, naturally, we've all heard this sort of tense music of when the shark is coming. Normally, I think they only teased it once. They played the song and then it turned out to be a Lilo or something, some inflatable or some kids messing around. But most of the time, when you hear the sound in particular, that iconic sound from the original Jaws movie, you know something is coming. And there we go. Just so you know, after playing the Jaws theme, I then let it roll on because we had the Saw theme that followed. I was about to say it's interesting because they're back to back, but we're missing the J, aren't we, for Saw? Otherwise you'd have Jaws, wouldn't you? Jaws instead of SAW. So yeah, just need a J thrown in there somewhere. But yes, that was the Saw theme. It does say in particular Jigsaw, but it, you know, if you're familiar with Saw, I think they've used the same sort of theme. Let's move on, shall we? I have gone with a fun one next. Coming away from all these soundtracks and whatnot, as enjoyable as they are and as fitting as they are to this show, I'm thinking we have another lyrical masterpiece. This is AC/DC, so a little bit more rock and roll kind of thing. Highway to Hell. So yes, something a bit more fun and upbeat. Alright, I'm going to toggle, if you saw my lineup on Facebook, I'm going to toggle some songs around quickly. I'm going to play next the Rolling Stones, Sympathy for the Devil. I think it would be great bounced off the last one. So yes, let's get that on quickly. We've got roughly 20 minutes of the show left. Hang on. Voila. Alright, let's bring the Sympathy for the Devil to an end, shall we? Now, the track I skipped, and like I say, if you saw the lineup originally, I've skipped 2. I'm going to go back. Actually, shall we have... what we on? We've got 15 minutes of the show left. Let's have Duran Duran, shall we? With Hungry Like the Wolf. And then we've got 3 more, if we've got time, we've got 3 more soundtracks to film and TV, I think. Yeah. Oh, hang on, I've lost track of where I am actually with the show. Yes, but I can skip a couple because some of them aren't that big. But let's have Duran Duran, shall we? Alright, now, final 12 minutes roughly of the show. As I said, we've got a couple of soundtracks, songs taken, or background music taken from some films. One in particular is the Star Wars Episode 3. It's titled Anakin's Dark Deeds. I had to just check then. Yes, obviously Episode 3 is when Anakin turns from, obviously, Anakin to Lord Vader. And this is the darker side of when Order 66 is given and the troopers all turn on the Jedi, etc. And of course the huge new sort of revolution begins. And yes, Anakin slaughters a bunch of younglings at the Jedi Temple, and he goes on to kill a lot more people. Alright, that brings a wrap to the Star Wars soundtrack. We're going to have the one more. So before I disappear, you've been listening to Nick Kind on Radio Glengwilly. You can always get in contact. You can email us. Our email address is studio, all lowercase, studio@radioglengwilly.co.uk. You can also text us at 075 18 18 38. You can also comment, of course, if you're watching, comment on Facebook. You can comment on the YouTube channel Nick's Hobbies and Interests, where I upload the entire show. Naturally, I'm uploading them always a week after. So I'm currently uploading last week's show at the moment. So yes, you're more than welcome to leave a comment there. I will be back for 12 till 2 next week. Thank you. This song is this soundtrack, this last piece is from the Dark Knight movie, part of the Batman trilogy. It plays right at the end. It's called let's get that right, The Watchful Guardian.